So, Gordon, thank you for joining me on stage. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. I don't want to be mean, but I got to be honest and ask you, deeper questions. So I know the founders of WeTransfer, and I'm a founder myself. So the first time I heard like there's going to be a new CEO, I thought like, wait, what? Replacing the CEO. So can you go into that a little bit and tell me about the challenges of replacing a founder as a new CEO?
Sure. This is the second time I've done it, and I did it before in the UK for a business that was focused on wireless networks, outdoor wireless networks. This one has been that one was as well, has been a really positive experience, and I think the key to making it really positive is that in both cases, the founder and CEO made the decision themselves that they were not the right person to take the business on to the next level. So, it was fundamental that Bas, who was CEO at the time, had made that decision and was very involved with deciding what kind of person he wanted to bring on board. That made it hugely easier. He obviously is still our chairman, and so he and I meet up pretty regularly. But that is fundamental, and any founder that's thinking of handing over, please do not do so till you're ready to really step back. You can't be, we have this phrase in English, half pregnant. Either you're going to step back or you're not. So in both cases, I've been lucky that the founders have been prepared to do that. And then here, there was a great team in place, and because WeTransfer's got a really strong brand, we've been able to attract some super talent in. So that's been very, very helpful as well.
So I think they're not here, right, the founders?
Not that I can see.
All right, so we can gossip a little bit. So what do you think they were missing in skills that you have?
Well, look, when Bas and I talked about it, because obviously I asked him, great company, it's successful. One of the things that's made it easy is WeTransfer is a successful company. It's not like I was coming into something that needed turning around. Mm-hmm. Bas at heart is an innovator. He's an entrepreneur and he's a marketeer. And the stage of development we're at, it's all about international scaling and international expansion. And really that's what I'd done a lot of, both at eBay, as we built out across Europe. And then in most of my roles at Amazon, I, for example, launched and rolled out their e-reader business, the Kindle, across Europe. So from nothing to scaling it across Europe, I did the same for their advertising business. And then in my final role, did the same for their consumables business in the UK. So it was really my skill set at scaling a business internationally that Bas didn't feel he had and they didn't have in the company. And frankly, that wasn't really what he wanted to do. He really is, and he's opening up a new firm at the moment, and so he's an innovator and entrepreneur.
Yeah. And if you look at because you were at Amazon previously,
Yep.
which is a huge company,
Yep.
which still tries to act like a startup. You're at a scale-up or a startup now. What do you see as the biggest difference between the two?
So I think actually there are some real similarities, which is one of the things that attracted me to WeTransfer. The things I'd see as really similar are both companies are obsessed by the customer and doing the right thing for the user. And when I was first getting to know WeTransfer, I was really struck by their kind of user focus and long-term approach, which is very similar to Amazon. So in the early days, they could have put up banner ads and made a load of money. And they said, no, that's going to be a crappy experience for the user. And our whole focus as a business is to kind of make our product, our service, as simple as possible, as intuitive as possible, and really not take you out of your creative flow. So there's a real similarity on consumer focus, user focus, and long-term thinking. The other thing which is similar is a real focus on getting in great talent. By the time I was at Amazon, I was spending about a quarter of my week just on recruiting people, and we spend a lot of time trying to get the right people into WeTransfer. So over the last year, we've gone from about 50 to about 100 people. Yeah. So we've doubled in size, and just getting the right talent in has been really important. One of the big differences is, I don't know how many people know, but Amazon is run not by PowerPoint, but by Word document. And the first time you go to an Amazon meeting, it is an extremely strange experience. There's a 6-page, you're never allowed to write more than 6 pages, and it can't be more than smaller than 10 points. So you can't but you can have appendices. And there's silence as everyone sits and just reads this document for 20 minutes and then discusses it. And the whole business is run like that. We haven't implemented that. We do it once a quarter for our board, but we expect them to read it ahead of time. But that's a big difference between the two companies. In terms of keeping Amazon, though, entrepreneurial, there's some things that we'll bring. They very much focus on trying to keep teams small. So there's this whole philosophy about the 2-pizza team. No team should be bigger than 2 pizzas can feed. There's obviously a brilliant Dilbert cartoon about how big's the pizza, is it deep crust, how many people it feed.
And important details is that
very important.
If pizzas in the US are a lot bigger than because when we think about the pizza, there's just like
it'd be a really small team.
Yeah,
no, you can go a bit bigger there. And then the other thing is when you're introducing a business that's disrupting an established business, you make it entirely separate. So the established business can't slow it down, can't get in its way. And both those things are really valuable take forwards.
Yeah. Is there one thing that you said, it's fine the way you've been running the business, but this has got to change? You can speak freely. There's nobody.
No, I would speak freely, and but actually, I was lucky to go into a business that was running well, and really it was about making the most of what we currently had. I think they perhaps hadn't realized how strong the brand was. And one of the things we've been able to do very quickly is really leverage the strength of the WeTransfer brand, either to bring in great talent or to stretch the brand. So we've launched some new products. We launched a new mobile app last year, which is very much focused on collaboration as well as transferring your creative ideas. And this year we launched what is essentially an editorial content product called We Present. Which is doing really, really well. We've added over 1 million users to it since the readers of it since the beginning of the year, and they spend on average over 3 minutes on it. So I think perhaps if anything, the existing team, Bas, Nalden, etc., have not really quite how strong a brand they've got.
Right. If you look at the future WeTransfer, do you see like multiple products, multiple services, or is the first opportunity just growing the main product?
I think it's both, actually. I think there's huge potential still in what I might call our core web-based file business. We're growing that really, really fast and internationally. It amazes me, we're available in 196 countries, or according to Google Analytics, over 200, and I suspect the difference between that and the UN is maybe they recognize Tibet or something like that. But so we have great international footprint already for our web product, and we're growing it out. And places like Brazil, Mexico, India, and Turkey. And now we have millions of users, so that's growing really fast. And the US, of course, is our focus market for international expansion. At the same time, we've wanted to, in a sense, stretch the brand, leverage the brand, and our overall ambition is really to set up a constellation of workflow tools that cover all stages of the creative process, right from inspiration to collaboration to presentation. Our mobile app is very much the first step in building out our collaborative tools. But we'll also partner with people where it makes sense. That's why it's a kind of constellation. We don't have to own everything. We recently launched an integration with Slack. We'll be launching soon an integration with Sketch. So these are where we've got partners who do something brilliantly, and together we can just make it even better for the creative community.
Yeah. So if you look at not the close future, more the distant future, I saw a tweet from someone who said, my children don't have the concept of saving a file. The apps they open on their phones or iPads are just there. And he said they don't even have the concept of saving a file somewhere, right? Because it's just, there's, you know, I used to have to think about organizing my stuff in folders and had many files. So do you see a future where files are just not an issue anymore and there won't be a need to transfer files the way you offer?
Well, I think that's so true, and I had a really eye-opening moment when my 12-year-old, his school said, no more desktops. You're only going to use, you know, tablets from now on. That's it. And they do all their work on that. So it's the same kind of thing. It's going to be a totally different world. I actually think files and the concept of the file probably still has a lot of mileage. I'm still struck by the fact that the icon for save is a floppy disk. And I'm not sure how many people in this room have ever touched a floppy disk, but it is still that. And I think for a lot of people, the mental construct of a file will still exist. But you're absolutely right. There's this whole trend to access over ownership. And we'll build our service out like that. And part of what we're doing, certainly with our mobile app, is doing that.
Yeah. There was I saw, probably most of you seen it, but it was a child, and they showed a photo of a diskette, and they said it's so funny that somebody 3D printed the save button, which is like. So you expanded, like your next office. So one of your focuses going international more, and the first office you opened was LA. So can you talk about that a little bit? Why LA? Why not San Francisco or New York?
Well, I think the first step, building actually on what they were talking about before, was deciding that we really wanted to get much more serious in the US. And for us, that was driven by, you know, our focus is very much on creative minds and the creative community. And the biggest creative community in the world, in the sense, is out there. It's also the center for digital advertising, which is part of our business model. Once we decided that the US was the right step for us to make next, it was then, where can we be nearest the creative hub? And for us, LA just became an obvious choice. We're very strong in the music, the film, photography industries. And LA, therefore, was an obvious choice, as that's a real crossroads and melting pot for those at the moment. LA is also cheaper. You know, I am always...
You're not Dutch, are you?
I'm channeling my inner Dutch. Oh, my God. LA is a bit cheaper. It's still more expensive than here. But it is cheaper than San Francisco. It just had a really good feel to it. Yeah. So Damien, who was one of the founder shareholders, has gone out there. So he sent one of our most senior people, and he's found us an X-Dance studio. So we're based in an X-Dance studio in Venice Beach.
Yeah. So if you look at WeTransfer, it's kind of a unique company, the way it's set up, the visual of it. You could say it's almost a new business model, the way it's been designed. Do you see opportunities in other areas where you can sort of take your model and apply it to other things, maybe even arenas that you want to go into yourself?
Do you know, I think we'll stay pretty close. As a business model, it's really interesting, and compared to other SaaS companies, very distinctive, because we have this duality. You know, we have an advertising business that helps monetize, in a sense, everyone who uses us for free, and then a SaaS business, a subscription business as a trade-up. We're freemium in that sense. But compared to other SaaS businesses, that's quite unique. And it gives us a huge advantage, because it means we never worry about, in fact, we're positively incentivized to make the free service as good as possible, because we monetize it. Yeah. So it means our cost of acquisition for subscribers is low, because getting people in is cheap. But I think we'll stay pretty much focused on, you know, kind of workflow tools for creative minds. We'll absolutely stay focused on making the complex as simple as we can. And we'll stay very focused on protecting people's privacy. We have a really strict policy on data. We don't ask you to sign up. There's no complex sign up. You just go to site, load up your files, and send them. Deliberately, files disappear after 7 days unless you don't want them to. So we've been very focused on, in a sense, keeping people's digital footprint as small as possible and protecting their privacy. So those core things we won't change. And I think there's so much opportunity for us in just serving the creative community and creative minds better that we'll stay focused there.
Out of curiosity, did you have to make any changes because of GDPR that's becoming effective tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Like everyone, some of our team, quite a bit of our team, has been focused on GDPR, and I'm pretty certain that we're very compliant. We appointed someone to be our GDPR officer, and she's taken to that task with relish and is making sure we are as compliant as what can be. I think one of the difficulties we've found with GDPR is it's quite loose. It hasn't been perfectly defined. So we're as compliant as we can be, and I think because we had this policy of being very protective of people's privacy already, we had less issues than other places.
All right. So my last question is around mobile, really. I know you have an app, mobile.
Mobile,
So you have an app. Clearly, mobile is taking over the world. To me, you very much still feel like a desktop company. How is the app doing for you, and what do you see the future there?
So I agree, and the reason we put, or I partly agree, the reason we put a lot of resource and effort into building out our new mobile app is we also agree, and it was this kind of moment with my 12-year-old going, okay, you know, he's not going to be on desktop any longer. I think the two need to coexist. It reminds me very much of actually the way people use the mobile app and their desktop at Amazon. So when I was running consumables, which think of grocery but nothing fresh, chilled and frozen, so anything you can get into a supermarket, people would often, on the way to work, build their shopping list on their mobile, and then once they're at work, review it on a bigger screen. And so for me, the two, the desktop and the mobile app, need to coexist and be really closely integrated. People will use them differently, but I think they need to be super integrated, and that's our aim.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
And
it's been a pleasure.
Applause.
Nothing too
Thank
hard. Cheers. Bye.